Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming on this glorious day. On behalf of my colleagues on the organizing committee, I'm very happy to welcome you to the seminar in remembrance of Constantine Zurayq. We wish everyone an enjoyable and fruitful seminar. In opening this seminar, we have two very distinguished speakers representing the main sponsors of the seminar, the American University of Beirut and the Constantine Zurayq Cultural Foundation. Our first speaker is Dr. Nadia Cheikh, Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences and Professor of History at the American University of Beirut. Dean Cheikh, please.
Thank you, Ali. Zurayq family, distinguished guests, esteemed faculty members, and students, I would like to welcome you all on behalf of the American University of Beirut and of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences to this seminar honoring the legacy of a pillar of AUB, Professor Constantine Zurayq. This seminar in remembrance of Constantine Zurayq is organized as part of the AUB 150th celebrations in collaboration with the Constantine Zurayq Cultural Foundation presided by Dr. Hisham Nashabe. It is sponsored by the Faculty of Arts and Sciences via academic units, namely the Center for Arts and Humanities, the Center for Arab and Middle Eastern Studies, the Department of History and Archaeology, and the Anis Madisi program in literature. On behalf of AUB, I would like to express my gratitude for all those who were involved in supporting and planning this seminar, namely faculty members on the planning committee, the team from the archives and special collection of Chebaro Library, staff members from hosting and service units at AUB, and last but not least, the speakers at the seminar, many of whom have traveled from far to be with us on this important occasion. This collaboration with a number of entities inside and outside AUB reflects the varied interests of Constantine Zurayq, who was a scholar of broad interests, spanning many disciplines and approaches, with far-reaching impact on AUB, Lebanon, and the region. Constantine Zurayq joined AUB in 1930 as assistant professor of history. In 1977, 47 years later, he crowned his career as Emeritus Distinguished Professor of History. 47 years that were witness to momentous upheavals and events that shaped the region. The exhibition, which is also part of the seminar, showcases aspects of Zurayq's rich life and his many achievements. I invite you to spend some time today or later in the week viewing this exhibition, which has been curated by the archives and special collection of Chebaro Library. Dr. Kaoukab Chebaro will speak in more detail about the making of the exhibition shortly. Through his multiple endeavors, Constantine Zurayq left an outstanding legacy. Needless to say, this seminar will touch on few selected themes, bridging Zurayq's past to our present. The program booklet describes the themes and the speakers who will address them. I would like on this occasion to reflect on two aspects related to Constantine Zurayq's life and legacy, and that relate particularly to the context of universities today. The first concerns Constantine Zurayq's decision to become a historian. As he was talented in math and the sciences, he joined the AUB engineering department in 1924. Though he was successful in his chosen field, he switched to history as he felt that the Department of History was orphaned with the departure of the renowned historian Philip Hattie from AUB to the US. Zurayq was encouraged by AUB to continue his studies in history. He was supported through advanced studies in the US and returned to AUB as a faculty member in the Department of History. His education in the humanities was transformative and allowed him to make a tremendous impact through teaching, mentoring, and writing on generations of students, scholars, and thinkers in this region and beyond. As you may know, majoring in the humanities is at an all-time low worldwide, including in Ivy League universities where attrition is more than 50% among students. The hallmark of the humanities, however, is teaching how to reason rigorously and to express ideas in a compelling way. Constantine Zurayq's scholarship demonstrates all too well skills that he learned in his humanities major. In a recent report entitled The Teaching of the Arts and Humanities at Harvard College, Mapping the Future, the authors surmise that a culture that has no mechanism for bringing its most fundamental commitment into question is a culture that risks stagnation and even potentially moral decline. But by what mechanism does irresponsible change in cultural mores occur? The answer to this question may be at the heart of the humanistic inquiry. My second reflection pertains to Constantine Zurayq's wide and profound intellectual impact in the public domain through his links with other universities, his diplomatic service, and his commitments to civil society and political groups, regionally and internationally. He was the public intellectual par excellence, an academic who was fully engaged with the concerns of the present and future of his society broadly defined. Costi, as his friends used to call him, was a pioneer in what a true humanistic academic should be, a stellar teacher within the walls and an engaged intellectual in the city. At the start of the 21st century, it behooves us to emulate giants that shaped the 20th. Thank you all for being here. I wish you success in your presentations and deliberations.
Thank you very much, Sheikh, for such stimulating and encouraging words. Our second speaker today is Dr. Hisham Nashabe, President of the Constantine Zurayq Cultural Foundation. Please, Dr. Nashabe.
Thank you. إخواني الأعزاء، زملائي الكرام، كم أنا سعيد أنكم كلكم هنا، وما كنت أحسب أن قسطنطين زريق حتى بعد وفاته بسنوات عديدة يستطيع أن يجتذب إليه هذا العدد من الإخوة والزملاء في هذا اليوم الذي فضل الكثير من الناس أن يبقوا في بيوتهم ينظرون إلى التلفاز لكي يتابعوا الأحداث. ثم إنه فصل الخريف في بيروت، وفصل الخريف معروف ببيروت بأنه فصل الأمراض والرشوحات وما إلى ذلك. أما بالنسبة إلي فأقول إنه ليس فصل الخريف، إنه فصل خريف بيروت، إنه خريف العمر الذي أيضا يصيبنا بكثير من هذه الأوجاع في هذه الأيام. يشرفني ويطيب لي أن أقف بينكم ولأول مرة ممثلا لمؤسسة قسطنطين زريق الثقافية، ومتحدثا باسم أعضائها المؤسسين، وهم الدكتور خير الدين حسيب، والدكتورة هدى زريق، والدكتور نديم قرطاس، ودولة الرئيس فؤاد السنيورة، والدكتور جون ووتربري. سيداتي وسادتي، إن لإحياء ذكرى العلماء وتقدير فضلهم كما لكل شيء سواه صورا ظاهرة وحقائق باطنة. أما ظواهره فكلمات تنمق وخطب تلقى، وأما حقائقه فجهد فكري يبذل، ودراسات وأبحاث وعمل دؤوب يتابع مسيرة هؤلاء العلماء ويعمق ما كانوا سبقون إليه. لذلك فإنما نحن مقدمون عليه في هذا اليوم الذي خصصته الجامعة الأمريكية في بيروت لقسطنطين زريق في إطار احتفالاتها بمرور 150 سنة على تأسيسها، هذا وجه مشرق من أوجه التقدير للعلم والعلماء، وهو بالنسبة إلينا في مؤسسة قسطنطين زريق حافز للعمل قدما من أجل تحقيق أهداف المؤسسة. وأهداف المؤسسة هي دعم البحث العلمي والباحثين في المجالات التي كرس الدكتور قسطنطين زريق حياته لخدمتها. وكانت هذه الجامعة الحاضنة والراعية لها لهذه الأبحاث، وكان أساتذتها والمتلقون الأول هم المتلقون الأول لنتاجه الفكري وعطائه التربوي. إن أقصى ما يطمح إليه رائد في الفكر والعمل التربوي أن يكون نموذجاً وقدوة لطلابه ولزملائه. كان قسطنطين زريق ذلك النموذج وتلك القدوة. تعلمنا منه التفكير العلمي المنظم، تعلمنا منه أن تكون لنا قضية تتجاوز التفكير بوظيفة مزجية أو بعمل عادي أو عمل مرموق. تعلمنا منه الالتزام والعمل الدؤوب، وهذه قيم لا يستقيم سعي ولا تنجح قضية بدونها. قال لي ذات يوم وقد تقدمت به السن: إن فكري ما يزال نشيطا، ولكن جسمي لم يعد يلبيني. اليوم إذ تجتمع نخبة من الباحثين الشباب ليتدارسوا بعض جوانب فكر قسطنطين زريق، أشعر كما لو أنهم يعيدون إلى أستاذنا تلك الحيوية التي افتقدها في أواخر أيامه. فالشكر للأساتذة الباحثين، ما بذلوه من جهد في الإضاءة على بعض الجوانب من فكر هذا الرائد المبدع من رواد الفكر العربي المعاصر. ولا بد لي وأنا في معرض الشكر من أن أذكر بالعرفان المؤسسات التي لم تنسى قط فضل الدكتور زريق. عنيت النادي الثقافي العربي، ومؤسسة الدراسات الفلسطينية، ومركز دراسات الوحدة العربية، ومؤسسات عديدة أخرى مذكورة في هذا المعرض الوافي عن أستاذنا الدكتور زريق. هذه المؤسسات جعلت من الدكتور زريق رجل مؤسسات بامتياز. كان يفكر ثم يقول: ما العمل؟ فيتحول الفكر إلى مؤسسة تضمن استمرار تطور هذا الفكر ورعاية أهدافه. ولا بد لي قبل أن أغادر هذا المنبر من أن أشكر عائلة الدكتور قسطنطين زريق التي رعت وما تزال ترعى المؤسسة التي تحمل اسمه، وأخص بالذكر الدكتورة هدى زريق والدكتور نديم قرطاس، لهما منا كل محبة وتقدير. سيداتي وسادتي، أتمنى لكم يوما ممتعا ومفعما بعبق الفكر العلمي الرصين والذكريات الطيبة برفقة أستاذ الأجيال، أستاذنا أبونا الدكتور قسطنطين زريق. والسلام عليكم.
شكرا جزيلا دكتور نشابه لوجودك معنا هذا النهار ولكلماتك القيمة. We move now to a few words of introduction on the exhibition showing in the other section of the common room, which is, I repeat, an intrinsic part of the seminar today. Dr. Kaoukab Chebaro, Associate University Librarian for Archives and Special Collections, will give a few words of introduction to the exhibition. Kaoukab, please join us.
Good morning everyone. It's lovely to see so many faces. Good morning, Dean Cheikh, distinguished members of the Constantine Zurayq Foundation, friends and colleagues. It's a great pleasure to be gathered here with you all to open the Zurayq Symposium and the accompanying exhibit featuring the Zurayq archival collection, which was generously donated by Dr. Zurayq's daughters, Afaf, Hanan and Huda. In the name of the university libraries, I would like to thank the family for entrusting us with this great gift, and also to thank the Zurayq Foundation for their support of the exhibit. The fact that this collection comes to AUB, to the AUB libraries, seems natural. What more appropriate place to entrust with the papers, documents of a man who spent some of his greatest years as a student here, as he himself says, and then went on to serve this institution for some 50 years in a variety of capacities, including that of professor, professor emeritus, vice president, and acting president. But the fact that this archive comes to AUB is apt in a different sense. What better place to take the lead in collecting and preserving the intellectual heritage of the region that the Zurayq archival collection embodies and exemplifies than AUB? Indeed, AUB seems like the place of choice to take the lead in helping to preserve the intellectual heritage of our region, to open access to it, and thus to carve a space for the public good, where public history can strive and help us strive. This effort is all the more timely and needed, given the sad situation surrounding us that puts our heritage under daily threat, be it through destruction, displacement, or confiscation, or through simple oblivion, ignorance, neglect, or decay. With the donation of this archive and with the accompanying trust given to us, we feel very lucky. Lucky to have the opportunity to understand, through the collection, the trajectory and social context of a great mind who influenced an entire generation of Arabs. And lucky to be given, through this examination, a chance to use, as Kosti would have said, knowledge to change reality. And lucky we indeed are. The archive is a treasure trove, and we try to illustrate this fact by giving you a glimpse onto the rich material it contains through the exhibit we curated. Before I tell you a bit about the exhibit and what you are about to see, or what some of you have already seen, I would like to reach out to you all and ask you to please spread the word that this archive is accessible and open to any curious mind wishing to dig into it. I would also like to reach out to you and ask for your help in our efforts to build a real regional archive of our Arab heritage. Something akin perhaps to Nadia and Huda's idea of al-Dhakira al-Arabiya, an archive that can document our regional Arab communal history and that can be housed here at an academic institution known for its openness and its commitment to research and dialogue. We, you, could do that together by reaching out to individuals, families, and institutions which may have such significant documents worth preserving, and by telling them that AUB is open and ready to build this regional archive with their help and support. We rely on you, and I know that we are lucky to be able to rely on you. Lucky we indeed are for having had a chance to delve into this collection to bring you this exhibit, which we hope will serve as a testimony to a person unusually committed and inspiring still until today, in spite of the lapse of time and the changing socio-political and economic realities around us. We also hope that this exhibit is a testimony to the value of archives and of their ability to kindle passionate minds and truthful, grounded research. The exhibit tries to do two main things. One, it showcases the rich and multifaceted trajectory of Dr. Zurayk and the various facets of his engagement with his reality in accordance with his genuine convictions. A teacher, a scholar, a mentor, a friend, a public intellectual, an institution builder, a diplomat, an influential speaker, and a methodical writer. Two, we try to showcase the socio-political and historical context that the documents themselves bear witness to, an exploding and rapidly changing Arab reality. The trajectory of Kosti's life and its multifaceted and rich nature is mostly displayed on the banners in the room adjacent to us, with reproduced documents and photos from the archival collection, and a narrative threading the various phases and pieces together that relied for the most part on Dr. Zurayk's own autobiography, a copy of which exists in the archive and that I think will be published soon. We've also relied heavily on Dr. Azmi's book on Kosti, Arabiyyun lil-Qarn al-20, and used it to weave and shape our narrative. We tried to tell and illustrate Kosti's trajectory from the time of his childhood in his beloved Damascus, through his years of study at AUB, and then on to his studies at Chicago, Princeton, and Columbia, and then his return to Beirut and AUB to teach and engage in service. We showcase his deep commitment to building and engaging with educational institutions throughout the Arab world. AUB, the University of Damascus, over which he presided for 3 years, the University of Khartoum, Kuwait, the International Association of Universities under the UNESCO, etc. We also tried to showcase his role as a teacher and a mentor, as a public intellectual who had a fundamental role in institution building for key research institutions in the Arab world, not least of which is his role in the establishment of IPS, the Institute of Research for the Arab World, and the Lebanese National Scientific Research Institute. We also tried to illustrate his role as a diplomat, a role he did not seem to like too much, but at which he also excelled and to which he gave his best, thinking of it as a duty he held towards his society. And we end with a section on his research and dedication to scholarship and display most of the books he authored and a few books about him. The display tables contain the pièces de résistance, original materials from the archive, including items related to Zurayk's views on nationalism and related to Al-Urwa al-Wusqa, its bylaws, the Red Book, but also letters addressed to Zurayk from students, friends, and colleagues who were involved in Al-Urwa from across the globe. Another table where we display letters and correspondence between Zurayk and Dr. Philippe Hetti, as well as Dr. Charles Malik. These give a glimpse of the relation between Hetti and Zurayk, a mutually supportive friendship and reciprocal mentorship, and between Zurayk and Malik, a meeting of two equal minds, even if they did not always see eye to eye. Another table showcases some of Zurayk's addresses and speeches and show his skill as an orator and his ability to inspire his listeners. Look out for my favorite speech, the one entitled The Rainbow, or his published baccalaureate speech, Blessed Foolishness, or the one entitled Ma'na al-Qawmi. They are testimonies to Zurayk's belief in the possibility of human development through big ideas and small daily actions. Another table shows some drafts of his works. Notice the pencil and the various erasures and rewriting in the draft of Ma'na Nakba, written in Hotel Bromana, right in 1948, and it went on for a second edition within 2 months, almost immediately after the catastrophe. And finally, my favorite table, where we display letters from a variety of individuals, friends, students, colleagues, mostly from the late 30s and 40s, early 40s, and where we can get a glimpse onto the socio-political context of our Arab reality in the format of World War II and of the tragedy of Palestine, when the region was about to explode with drastic changes, upheaval, new nations, new socio-political and economic realities. I would like to mention a couple sample excerpts from these letters to illustrate what I mean. In the exhibit, you will see some excerpts projected as a PowerPoint and a map with a few scanned letters for you to read. For example, a letter from Farid Azzeddin al-Basra, dated 1937, goes as such. وقرأت في عدد الرابطة الأخير أن العدد 73 من الرابطة قد صدر في فلسطين، وإنني أعتقد أن مقالتي بين مفترق الطرق المنشورة فيه كانت سببا من أسباب المصادرة، فليفعل الإنجليز ما شاءت لهم قوتهم، فإن الحق لابد له أن يتغلب في النهاية. While another letter from Khalid, وهو عامل في خط الأسمار الحمضية في يافا سنة 1937، يقول: يمكنني أن أصور لكم كيفية نمو الوعي الوطني ببعض الحوادث التي وقعت في يافا منذ أمد قصير. أما النقم على الإنجليز فلا حد له، فالحكومة الإنجليزية أكثر من الحكومة الفرنسية قبل المعاهدة، وبالجملة ففلسطين تغيرت تغيرا كليا عما كانت عليه قبل الإضراب. And finally, a short quote, just the beginning of a letter from a student, just identifying himself as a student, from Al-Madrasa Al-Thanawiya Ba'quba, Al-Iraq, starts as such: من بين جدران اللب وأشجار النخيل المثقلة بالتمور أرسل لكم أطيب تحية، أنا الآن في العراق. You read these letters, these documents, and you realize right away how much our world has changed, how disconnected the new generations have become from our regional heritage, and how dislocated our regional reality has become. In any case, this archive, and I hope this exhibit, is not simply a sobering and humbling experience that makes us realize our shortcomings, the social, intellectual, and real challenges we face and need to overcome. It is also an occasion to be thrilled and curious and eager and hopefully to engage in what Zurayk called so aptly al-ma'rifa fi sabil al-hayat. There are many people who made this exhibit possible. I would like to thank them all, but I don't think I have time. I think I already overrun my guest, but I would like to thank everyone who made this possible. The exhibit will be on until November 4th. It will have an online counterpart that will be displayed on the library's website within the next few days. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaoukab, for such beautiful words and for making us all want to see the exhibit, but also plunge into the archives. I'm a historian, after all. Please remember the exhibit will be on from today until the end of the week, Friday, November 4th. Please visit it, enjoy it, learn from it, be inspired. But now we have a half an hour to either visit the exhibit, about half an hour, just under half an hour to visit the exhibit, and for a short coffee break at the Hisham Faris Auditorium, where the two panels in this seminar will take place. The Hisham Faris Auditorium is in the famous new building on campus that's right around the corner. If you need any help, I'm sure, getting there, I'm sure someone can provide it. Thank you all for being here, and please note that the first panel in the seminar will begin promptly under directives from above at 11 a.m. with your cooperation. Thank you all for being here.